Greetings, chess players! My name is Chris Torres, and this is Daily Chess Musings. Tonight I'm starting a new series. I get a lot of emails from chess students and viewers. By the way, my email address is dailychessmusings@gmail.com. Dailychessmusings@gmail.com if you want to send me a question or comment about any of our content. Um, but I got I'm starting a new series because I got a wonderful position from Coach Arun. Arun is a chess dad in Fremont, California, who also coaches a lot of chess. So he's a guy after my own heart. I'm also a chess dad and a chess instructor. And Arun, in fact, coaches a really nice group of students in Fremont. And what he's doing is having them play an online tournament once a week, but he also gives them a challenging position. Um, I believe even for them to try and work out against each other competitively. And he sent me one of these and said, "Hey, Coach Chris, would you please explain this position? And I will point our club in your direction." So I'm going to do my best to try and explain this position to you guys tonight. So it is a viewer submission chess position of the week. Let's take a look. All right. So first of all, let me make sure my windows look good. Great, my windows look great. First of all, we should notice that yeah, we are indeed in an endgame with a lot of passed pawns. This looks like the kind of endgame where there could be, pawn promotions, but black does have an extra bishop. So let us, but white's also got an extra pawn. Let's take a look. So the first thing you want to do, it is white to move, and I think many of us can see that if white moves a square forward and black moves a square forward, why isn't that highlighting? And white moves a square forward. Come on. There we go. And black moves a square forward. And white promotes. And black promotes. White gets to promote first. So in positions where you promote first, one of the things you want to look for is either side promoting with a check. Not in this case. But white promoted first. So they have a pretty a momentary advantage. They get to reposition their queen with the first check. Is there a useful check where we could reposition and maybe fork the king and bishop? And in this case, there is. Our queen could go from e8 to c6, which would in fact fork the king and bishop. So that is good. Let's look at the other one, though, too. So that's if, let me get rid of this arrow. My arrows are being slow to erase. Come on, there we go. There we go. All right, let me erase these. Let's try scooting the other pawn forward as well. So if this goes here, again, that goes there. Then f7 and d2. And then f8 is a queen, d1 is a queen. Oh, we have another nice fork. There's a problem with this fork, though. Black can move their bishop to block the check. Yeah, yep. So I think it is safe to say, let me go ahead and erase. Come on, let's erase the squares properly. My mouse, I think my mouse battery is needing to be replaced soon. I go through mouse batteries pretty fast. I think it's safe to say that this pawn is in fact the better one to go. So again, if we scoot our pawn forward, let's go ahead and start moving the pieces now that we've done some basic calculations. And here. There. And then we get a queen, and black gets a queen. And then again, the key here is to say check. You get the first check, and you can do it with a nice fork. Now black has to be careful here. If black comes down, then they lose their bishop with another check. That would be horrible. So of the two options black has right now, going to a7 is best, and then we can take this bishop. So I think we can call this maybe starting position number 2. So the initial position, we'll call this position B. So the initial position's position A, and we have gotten to this point, and we've gotten rid of their extra bishop, and now white's the one with just an extra pawn. Unfortunately, though, when we took the bishop, we weren't able to do it with check when the black king moved to a7. And so the problem is now black can play a lot of checks. Now, if you're the side as black, what you want to do is play meaningful checks and stop white's pawn from advancing. But you have to be careful to avoid a cross-check situation. What is a cross-check? A cross-check is where maybe you're checking white, and white can block that check with a check of their own, and then there's like a forced trade of queens. This would be terrible because in a forced trade of queens, white's pawn is just 3 squares away, and black's king is out here in right field. So that would not be good. So let's take a look. All right. So checks that black has. 1, there's 1 check. 2, 3, 4. Looks like black has 4 checks. Let me double check. Double check the checks. There we go. All right. Let's start left to right. My is as well. All right. So if queen goes to a4 check. Oh, speaking of cross checks, fantastic. Look at this. Check. This forces a trade of queens. After the exchange of queens, I guess I can go ahead and play a couple more moves. After the exchange of queens, then this pawn's just going to be home free. White wins easy. Okay. So let's hang on. Let me go back to the initial position. In fact, 1 move back. All right. So we're advancing this pawn because it's the one that we can get a fork where we win the bishop. That's important. Here's that fork. Black can't go there without losing the bishop with a check, so king to a7, queen takes, and now we just said that if queen goes to a4, this queen can block and say check, and white wins. All right, so 1 check, 3 more to go. This could be tricky. Queen, king and queen and king-queen pawn endgames are very difficult. Very, very difficult. Most often they are draws. But you just have to go back to that time Kasparov played the world. He defeated the world in an endgame not too much unlike this one, if my memory serves me correctly. Go ahead, Google Kasparov versus the world, or go find it on the Daily Chess Musing's website. I'm sure you can. All right, so let's see, where was I? I digress. Queen goes to b1 check. All right, so we are in fact in check, and we can move our king up, which is generally a good idea. Generally a good idea to be moving forward because you want to advance your pawn, right? And the king can help do that. However, here I'm more inclined to move forward like this, and I'll tell you why. Number 1, unprotected pawn. Number 2, though, more importantly, is I can get some shielding from the checks. I would rather not have my king in all this open territory over here, right? All that open territory. I'd rather get some shielding from this rogue queen. So I'm going to go ahead and choose king f4. We'll see how this works out. Again, if you're black, you want to try and do a lot of checks. Let's see. All right. Well, I mean, there's the check up here. Maybe we don't want to go through all the checks. This could take an hour. Um, but let's go with this Queen F1. This one looks a little more, tasty to me because you're moving the queen in, and then White's not going to get as much coverage, shielding from their pawns if the queen's over on this side of the board as well. All right. So again, our idea was to go to King G5. And then Queen G2 maybe is another nice check. All right. So I'm quickly looking to see if there's a reason we shouldn't take this pawn. Sometimes there could be, but I don't see it right now. So let's go ahead and try. Let's try taking the pawn. Now we have two passed pawns. Let's see. Maybe Queen E2 check. Then we could move forward, certainly. You got to be careful. You got to be careful how you do things. Let me go back one step. Because, I mean, if we played, like, for example, King G6, there's Queen G4 check, right? And then it certainly looks like King F6, and then you lose this pawn with check for no good reason, right? Why do that? You have to calculate, which is what we do as chess players, even after teaching a long day of chess like I have. All right, so again, King H6 avoids the Queen G4 check. And then I'm looking kind of for the best possible moves for black. What I think would be really meaningful. Maybe Queen E4. It's forking, right? You're forking the two pawns. And then we could get into like a repeated position. Look, see, because then you come back here, and then maybe this comes back here, right? So that would be, a way maybe black can hope for a repetition draw. I think I see something. All right, I think I see another cross-check potential here. So if we play Queen G3, if Queen takes F5, this is what I'm just noticing, then we have Queen G7 check, and I believe no matter what happens, let's take a look. I think we can do a fork or a cross-check here. In fact, sure, why not? All right, so Queen G7, and then if, like, for example, King goes to A8, well, then you can do this, and then when this comes back, you can say check and fork. And then after trade of queens, you win easy with this guy. So this is a cool little poisoned pawn idea. Let me go back a couple moves. All right. So right here, black, as much as they would like to, cannot take this pawn. It's poison. There would be a forced trade of queens, and white would have an extra pawn. So maybe Queen E8, threatening to get in here, right? White has very little shielding. Very little shielding. So we certainly don't want that to happen. So what I would suggest then is playing a check. Not only are you checking your opponent's king, so you have the initiative, but you're stopping all these checks, and your queen can be a shield to your king. So this is very useful. And then as black, you want to, again, avoid cross checks. White, you have a free moment now to scoot your pawn forward. Every time you move it forward, the amount of tactics you have increases a lot, especially when your pawn gets to the 7th rank. Let's see if I can force a draw here as black, though. Queen goes to e3. I don't think so, because can't this just go to g5? Yeah. Queen goes to g5, and then there's no checks. This is terrible. This is just terrible. I mean, there's just like no checks. Pawn scoots forward. Why did I go to c3? It's because then you could go to h8, right? Sneaky little move you could try. Maybe, yeah, hopefully you learn some things about defending these positions as well, is as winning with them as white. They're very tricky. Queen in, king queen versus king queen endgames, very tricky. All right, so we got to play king g6, but there's no check here. Obviously, the pawn would take, and there's no other good checks. So this was actually pretty easy to deal with. So if you're black, put your queen, blockade that pawn. And now, those of you who have studied endgames, like I have, like everybody should, you start with maybe Silman's endgame course is very good, Pandolfini's endgame course, and then you move up to Yuri Averbach, right? And more advanced and it just never ends. But if you study the end games, you know the technique here. All right, so queen f6, and then what can black do? Black, your queen is shielding your king from checks. So there's no checks here. There's no checks there, right? And there's no check there. So what can black do? I mean, basically just kill a move, sadly, right? And then you come up and around like this. And then, again, what can black do? Nothing. And then, boom. And then you're going to win. All right, so we've looked at 2 of the checks in this video. Let me go back and to our initial position. Here it is. Very complicated position. Thanks again, Coach Arun from Fremont, California. If you want to send a submission for me to do on the air, send me a daily chess musings at gmail.com. Send me an email with the position, dailychessmusings@gmail.com. You can send a portable game notation, PGN or FEN, or a link to the position, or embed a photo. There's a lot of different ways. I'm not too picky. All right, so let's review. Again, if we advance the wrong pawn, we don't win the bishop because it can block the check. So we go with this pawn. We get a queen first. They get a queen. We got the queen first. Big advantage because we get the first check, and we will win this. Now, again, black cannot go down because we'll take the bishop with check. So they go up, and then we take here. Now, black, we've looked at this one, and that fails miserably to just that simple block check, a cross check. Got to watch out for the cross checks in these king, queen. Hello, Taimon Tolinio. We are analyzing. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm teaching some people how to play, or how to play better. So we've analyzed this. We've analyzed this. We spent a long time on that second one. Oh boy, we got two more checks and lots of complications. Let's take a look. This is a big time check complication. All right, so this time, obviously, we can't come around like this, right? So again, when you're being checked, you want to be moving forward anyways, because that's how you're going to win, by escorting your pawn up. So we have to go up. No choice in the matter this time, really. And black has two interesting checks here. And I'm not sure which one is more challenging, to be honest. Um, they both look fairly, fairly elaborate. So let's go left to right again. If queen e2, again, you want to be moving up. So you get up in front. And then I guess they could play, what, queen a6 check? We do not have a cross check here. But now we're ready to hold the hand of the pawn across the street, right? Except there's another annoying check. If you're the side defending, keep at it with the checks. Just be careful about the cross checks. We've already seen how devastating that can be. Well, we don't want to go back because then we're repeating positions. So we come around this way, and we may be able to shield ourselves because look where our queen is. It's nicely placed for this. In fact, let's go ahead and look at that. Queen b6, and then we just shield by advancing the pawn. And now, what? No meaningful checks? That doesn't work. That doesn't work. No checks. But the pawn is pinned. So that's a little bit annoying, but it's black's move, right? So black plays king b7, but we get to check. No matter where they went, we get to check. This one makes a lot of sense. Queen f3 check. It's putting our queen behind our pawn. This is our passed pawn. You know, rooks belong behind passed pawns. Well, here we got a queen behind it. And we're checking. Their king's trying to get over, but it's so far out there. That's tough. We can't advance. The pawn is still pinned. This pawn, all right, so... Okay, let's switch files with a tactic. This is what I'm looking at. All right. Switch files with the tactic. Do you see the tactic? Can't they just take here? No. Because then you say check. Force trade of queens. Your king's on this side of the board. You win easy. Their king's still too far away. It didn't get close enough. It tried to. But, you know, it's a slow process moving the king from the exact wrong side of the board, right? Okay, so it's too far away. Maybe bring the king in closer. Well, we can say check. Can they come any closer? No. We say check again. Shoot, then they can come closer. That's right. That's right. Ah! Beautiful, though. Beautiful. When they come closer, our pawn's no longer pinned. They put their own king in the way. So we get our pawn up one square. And we should win from here. I'm just doing some quick calculations. Let's see. What do I like for black here? What do I like for black? Well, I mean, if first of all, in case you didn't already see it, if the king goes up, yeah, you get the check, but then this goes here, and then where's your next check, right? Maybe down here, and then the king can go up to h8, and now where's your check? You're out of checks, and this pawn's threatening to move forward with check. So that is a disaster. Let me go back a little bit. Come on. There we go. Go back a little bit. Did I go back too far? Yeah, a little bit. All right. Okay, so this is where we were. And then f7. All right, so I just showed you that moving the king out of the way is not the correct way. So let's look at queen goes to e3 check. And then you know, I'm just peeking to see if there's like, you know, any of those cross checks we've been seeing already. Um, but no, I just don't see it. So king h7. Um, and then they can do another check, but I mean, we're one step away, right? One step away. Check. And now, well, your party's over, right? Um, so I think, you know, suffice to say, I think now there was another check in this line. So let me back up. I hate going backwards for viewers because my mind works in forwards and backwards. But maybe this confuses you a little bit. So we'll get right back. All right. Wait. Yeah, it was right here. Okay. So they said check with queen g4. We step up. And now they had a check here and a check here. And I went left to right. So we looked at the queen e2 first. But let's just look at the other one real fast. And then we have one more check to go through. And then we'll see. We'll see if this is indeed just a full-on winning position. So this is interesting geometry here, right? It's a queen with a, but I mean, you know, we aren't going to mess this one up, hopefully. I'm just looking, calculating, let's see. Yeah, so we just scoot it forward, right? And then, what do you do here as black? You don't have this check. In fact, you don't have a check. Wow, no good checks available. So queen g7, not as challenging maybe as queen e2 was after queen g4. So queen g4, queen e2 seems maybe most challenging. I would keep the pin. I would at least keep the pin because this at least slows it down, right? But now it's white's turn. Now we get to check. Now, let's avoid major tactical mistakes. All right. I mean, we already noticed how a lot's on the same diagonal here. Let's bring the queen in closer with check. So our king is defending it. All right. Let's avoid. I don't think there's going to be a problem, but you know, it just makes sense, right? All right. So the king's got to move, but wants to move closer because it's too far away. It loses most queen trade endgames are lost by black because their king's too far from the action. All right, once again, avoiding any sort of fork or cross check. And okay, there's that check, and we're back here on g5, and we've already done, you know, something similar to this, right? And there's no checks for black. No checks. Our queen's controlling g8. So, you know, just kill a move. Say check, and I say check like this because, you know, maybe I want to get my queen up here. And yeah, like if they go here, boom, end of game, right? So we're very close to just winning this one. But now we can come down here. And this queen is really boxed in. She has no checks. She's very useless. So if you're black right here, try and get your queen where it has more potential. And if you're white, use that moment of them repositioning to scoot your own pawn forward. And then queen goes to e3 check. Remember, throw in as many checks as you can. Just avoid the cross checks. King g6, queen e4 check. King h6. And here's this endgame technique again. I mean, well, first of all, taking is just losing, right? Because then this is gonna move here, say check, and then this advances. Um, 2 queens are better than 1. So queen f4 check, king g7, and we've seen something quite similar to this already. Queen g4 check, king h7, what, queen f5 maybe, king h8, and now we can put our own queen in the way if they check us again, right? This is what you want to do. Yep, they got nothing now. There's no meaningful check because we can just put our, so I mean they can try and bring their king in, or you know we could just kill the move. But then we can move our queen out of the way with check, and now our pawn's gonna scoot forward when they move out of check, so it doesn't really matter where they go. I mean, if, oh well, I guess if they go there, it's even worse, right? Because then we promote to a check. All right. Okay, so let me go back again. This is a complicated. Thank you so much, Arun, Coach Arun from Fremont, California. Sent an email to dailychessmusings@gmail.com. I'll post this position, by the way, on my blog, on the blog section of Daily Chess Musings, with a link to the YouTube video, so you can see the position. Then you can go through. All right. Hang on one second. I just saw something on my phone that maybe requires my immediate attention. Okay. Nope. Good. No emergency. All right. So again, let's just review. If this pawn were to go forward, and this pawn, 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 we get our queen. We block. Say check. We fork, but the bishop can interpose the check, right? It can block itself, and then black doesn't lose the bishop, which is why we go with the one pawn. Likewise, there's another like kind of elementary thing that maybe I should have mentioned earlier in the video, but oh well. All right. So if we go here with the correct pawn and this goes here, yes, the king could take, right? In fact, let me go ahead and just show you. Let me just go ahead and show you why not. All right. So if this goes here, this goes here, this goes here, and then this goes here, and I think black should be okay, right? I mean, this bishop is just beautifully placed on this diagonal. It's stopping everything. White can get to this square with their king, so this pawn cannot turn into a queen. This is a light square, so this bishop cannot kick our king off. All this is like other endgame knowledge. But yeah, 100% draw. This is 100% draw. I can look at it right now and see that it's 100% draw. White's king goes to h1. Black's king is going to eat a bunch of pawns, and then black won't be able to promote and can't do a checkmate with a bishop. All right. Let me go back to our... So here's our initial position. Boom, boom, and then e7, d2, check, check, and then we say fork. Uh-oh, don't go here, remember, because then it's a capture with a check. So here, here, and now we looked at this, which fails miserably to this. Cross check. We looked at this and showed that white can win. We looked at this in depth. And now finally, there's one more check that black can play. And that is this. All right. So again, you want to be moving forward. And does black want to take this pawn? No. Because then you got a fork. Check, fork, and this is a runaway pawn. White wins. So black cannot take the pawn. They can throw another check, and that's annoying. It's the best thing they can do. But move forward. And here it comes to e2 again. So we've seen similar. Keep moving forward. We're very exposed here. We don't have terribly good shielding. And this is why, you know, black has a lot of potential checks here. All right, so we're on the same diagonal as our queen and the same file rank as their king. So this takes away a lot of the checks. The only one left, I believe, that's meaningful is queen g2. And we can come in here. And this reminds me maybe of that variation we saw with the queen b1 check, where we end up taking the pawn. Let's see how this plays out. Maybe there's no meaningful checks. This is guarded and this is guarded. There's no meaningful checks for black. So attack a pawn, right? That's the best you can do. And why defend maybe when you can just advance? Because now we're very close, just 2 squares away from just winning this game. Still no meaningful checks? Really? This is true. Still no meaningful checks. We've seen a similar position where I think I already showed you in the broadcast where the pin's not gonna do the job. So maybe this time we'll just have the black king move closer. And then let's see. Again, I kind of like the idea of setting up a few little tactics here. So what I'm going to threaten is queen e3, and then black makes a mistake, and then you can do like a fork or something, right? With the check. So we can go ahead and do that now. And besides, we're guarding against a check on our king, right? We're still guarding against the critical checks. Very important. But now their king's getting closer, so maybe I'm being a little too fancy here. Let's see. Queen e8, so it's not really going to get in any closer because it can't step into the file without us doing a check and then trade it and then promote our pawn. So what do we think? This is tough. You got to avoid. You're in check, and you got to avoid any sort of tactic, double attack, where a trade of queens would be inevitable. So you come over here. You're not in the same file. You're not in the same rank, and you're not in the same diagonal or even color. There's probably a few different things we could do here, but I'm just going to say take this pawn. Obviously, they can't trade. Okay, so it's an active spot, right? But we can advance. Now we're 1 square away. So now good technique, we should be okay. So queen f4, they can throw in the queen f4 again. Try and move forward. Just make sure you're not missing a major tactic. These are very stressful to do in time pressure, or if you haven't practiced a lot, you can maybe I'll post some other positions similar to this on my blog as well, dailychessmusings.com. I will post this with the video because we're nearly done, I think. All right, so this is pinned, so it can't move forward, but we say check. Uh-oh. Now black has got a problem. Again, there's a lot of mistakes black can make. I'm trying to be very careful not to step into any kind of fork or pin. Okay, so we step out of the pin. Now this pawn can move forward. Back in, pins it again. Just as much resistance, but look what I just did. I just said I was trying to be careful, and then boom, there you have it. We pin the queen to the king, so there's going to be a forced trade of queens, and then you win. So let's get back to the starting position. Here it is. Arun Coach Arun from Fremont, California. He runs a little chess club. He does a lot of coaching, volunteering, and great dad to do that. Good chess player, good friend of mine. He sends me this position, says, Chris, can you break this down for the members of the Fremont Unified School District chess club that we have? And I said, sure. And then I looked at it and said, what have I gotten myself into? But what a beautiful, fun position. Arun, you picked a great position. And thank you so much for sharing it. Anybody who wants, if you live in Fremont, California, and you want to maybe find out about that kind of thing that Arun's running, just go ahead. I don't want to give away any private information or whatnot, but go ahead and send me an email, dailychessmusings@gmail.com, and I'll forward your email to Arun. Arun's also involved, of course, with the Gomes Chess Club, which, if you're friends of this channel, you've seen me playing chess against players from Gomes Elementary School in Fremont, California. I do a lot of, today I did five chess classes today. Tomorrow, slightly less, but some of them are a couple hours, so it ends up being about the same. And I love what I do. I wake up in the morning, I sip my coffee in the morning, and I look at my email and my messages. And in my email and messages, I get games that kids played in tournaments, questions from parents and other coaches, opportunities to work together. If you want to work with me, I'm always happy to collaborate with people. dailychessmusings@gmail.com. All this kind of good stuff, right? And I wake up, and then the next thing I do after I look at all this fun stuff I get, all the fan mail, if we want to call it that, the next thing I do is go and look at my blog and see what the numbers, how many people, if people liked my last blog post. Again, my blog is located at dailychessmusings.com. dailychessmusings.com. And our free chess club is on chess.com. Look at the Daily Chess Musings Club. I have more than 2,000 members in this community who are all fans of the blog, the YouTube channel, the Twitch. They join, and we get to play each other, and that's fun too. And we have special events, so check out that, and don't forget to follow us on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You could subscribe to my blog, dailychessmusings.com. You'll get an email with an update. It's free to do, and drop me a line, dailychessmusings@gmail.com. Once again, my name is Chris Torres, and it has been my unique pleasure tonight to break down this complicated but fun endgame. I hope you enjoyed the show. See you next time.